The owner of a kids' sports training center was arrested on child sexual assault charges. It is one of at least 4 cases we've told you about in the last month involving teachers or coaches taking advantage of children. 48-year-old Aaron Corrado is the owner of Strength in Christ Athletes in Parker. He was arrested on suspicion of sexual assault and sexual exploitation of a child. Police in Parker believe there may be more victims.
There are people across the state training parents to prevent this kind of thing. Here's 9 News reporter Luis De Leon.
These are called conversation starter cards, and so the front of the card says, will you join our family's prevention team? And it has 4 body safety rules.
It's one of many strategies that Feather Burkhauer implements in her work.
I think the truth is that it's really hard to get people to want to come to talk about child sex abuse because it's so uncomfortable.
But a few times a month in Colorado, she holds her Parenting Safe Children workshop. The mission is helping parents to keep children safe from sexual assault. Burkhauer says anywhere from 40 to up to 100 people attend, even now when they're mostly over Zoom.
You know, I really think that parents are hungry for this information. They're about prevention, how to keep their children safe.
The tips, she says, starts with conversations with the people that take care of your children.
And one of the things that I teach in the workshop is how to build a prevention team of caregivers. And what that means is how to take the information they learn in the workshop about grooming, about age-appropriate sex behavior, about body safety, and communicate that to the people in their lives to minimize risk.
Conversations that Burkhauer hopes parents have.
And then they'll leave and go tell their friends, in order for our children to play together, I really want you to take this workshop because I want to be on the same page with you.
So she's continuing to have workshops and see consistent interest right now. Also has one next weekend. Jenny, we asked about the trends that she's seeing for these kinds of crimes. It gets kind of tricky. She says that she believes this sort of thing is really happening every day and that anywhere where children are, it's an access point for this. So she says her job is to minimize that.
And that's probably why there's fear for families, right? Because they know it could be anywhere, but also if they can do anything in their own control, right, to keep their own family safe.
Right, and that's why she's still having these workshops. So,
all right,
yeah.
Luis, thank you.
Boulder County accidentally just gave hundreds of thousands of dollars to scammers. The county issued a check for $238,000 to a fraudulent account. The county says one of their vendors got hit with a cyber attack. That allowed hackers to access information, create a spear phishing email. And it was that email that appeared to be from the vendor that got the county to send nearly $250,000. Boulder says it has insurance for this kind of fraud, should cover most of the losses. The Boulder County Sheriff's Office is now leading the investigation with help from the feds. The county says although they have safeguards in place to prevent this kind of fraud, they did not catch this one, and they weren't able to stop the check from being cashed.
Video from inside an RTD bus shows the driver looking like they've nodded off behind the wheel just minutes before a crash that hurt at least 2 people. This video is from August 25th at Orchard and Parker in Centennial. The driver on the bottom right hand of the screen, you can see, looks like they're struggling to stay awake. And then all of a sudden they become alert, honks the horn, but it is too late. CSP says he ran a red light, crashed into another car, and that hit 2 more cars. This happened early in the morning, 6:30 a.m. You're seeing the video sped up here to get us between the crash and now this part when passengers are starting to get off the bus and one of them notices it leaking. RTD directed our questions to the third-party contractor that hired this driver. That company is called Transdev. All they would say is the bus driver is no longer employed. We've also reached out to the union representing the driver. No response from them today. The driver was cited with multiple counts of careless driving resulting in injury.
We are hearing from the man who called 911 when a train in Platteville crashed into a police car parked on the tracks, hurting the woman being detained inside. Tonight, the woman's attorney tells us that caller we're hearing from, that he was the aggressor in the road rage incident that led to her detention that night. The attorney claims that the caller was the one speeding ahead of the woman, slamming on his brakes, repeatedly harassing her. This goes back to 2 weeks ago when a Platteville police officer parked his squad car on the train tracks when he was pulling over Ureni Rios Gonzalez. She was a suspect in this road rage complaint by the caller. Police put her in their vehicle, and then a freight train collided with the police car. The man who called 911 that night claims that Rios Gonzalez pulled a gun on him before the collision.
And that's when I saw her pull up, and then her window was down. And then I looked and noticed that she was pointing a handgun at me. If the cops get charged for their mistakes, she should be charged for her mistakes.
The caller asked us not to use his name because he considers himself a victim, which is not being charged with any crime here. While state investigators look at how police made that huge mistake that night, leaving the car on the tracks with her inside, it's possible that Rios Gonzalez now out of the hospital, could be charged with road rage. That'll be up to prosecutors in Weld County.
At least 21 people have died in Florida from Hurricane Ian. This is according to the state's Director of Emergency Management. Today, that hurricane made landfall again, this time in South Carolina. Here's some video from the popular tourist spot, Myrtle Beach. Heavy rain and big winds took the power out of traffic signals and thousands of homes. And crews are just starting to clean up one of the hardest hit areas, Fort Myers Beach in Florida. The mayor says he's hoping to reopen the town to people who live there on Monday. And that storm has now downgraded to a post-tropical cyclone as it heads north towards North Carolina.
After this, they get so many job offers, they build a national network of alumni.
It's a head start to help young Latinos in Colorado make the connections that lead to jobs.